Alright, hear me out. This is actually pretty fun. Nightingale plays the role of Santa in one of FGO's Christmas events. Now, I've always been a sucker for her original look, but man, her Santa design is an absolute chef's kiss. It's surprisingly modest, and her hair isn't in that usual braided style, which gives her a fresh new vibe. From the dev's perspective, making her Santa actually makes things a lot more interesting. I mean, someone as expressionless as her trying to act like a jolly gift giver is already a fun and hilarious concept to think about. But here's the thing. I feel like there might be a deeper reason why Nightingale was chosen as Santa. As always, I'm just throwing out theories, but I think this one is pretty solid. So, there's this poet named Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a big-time American poet famous for works like Paul Revere's Ride, The Song of Hiawatha, and Evangeline. One of his poems, Santa Filomena, is widely believed to be about Florence Nightingale. It doesn't mention her by name, but it refers to the Lady with the Lamp, which was her iconic title because she used to walk around at night tending to wounded soldiers. Now, for those who don't know, Florence Nightingale was a legendary nurse known for her compassion and heroism during the Crimean War. The poem basically praises her selflessness and even compares her to Saint Philomena, a symbol of kindness and sacrifice. Now, even though the poem itself doesn't really scream Christmas, I feel like the title Santa Filomena might have been a subtle inspiration for the devs. Think about it. The word Santa comes from saint, like Saint Nicholas, who eventually became the Santa Claus we know today. So maybe the idea of Nightingale as Santa ties into this poetic connection because, in a sense, she is a Santa, or in other words, a saint. And that, my friends, is what we're doing today. Taking historical events, connecting the dots, and seeing how they might have inspired parts of the story. If you dig deep enough, mix in some wild theories and imagination, you can uncover all kinds of cool possibilities behind a character or event. I've got a few more to share, but if you know any other fun connections, drop them in the comments. Let's take another example, Nero. She's already super famous among fans, but no, I'm not talking about her saber face. I'm talking about how she randomly gets a bride outfit as one of her alternate forms. This version of her seems really popular, especially since her gameplay is arguably better than her base form. And let's be real, who wouldn't want to see a beautiful woman in a wedding dress, right? But have you ever wondered why she specifically wears a bride outfit? Sure, she probably has her own lore explanation in Fate Extra, but honestly, I don't really know much about that. What I do think, though, is that her bride outfit might actually be connected to real history. And this isn't just some random theory, because Emperor Nero was kind of infamous for something like this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, let me explain. I'm pretty sure her bride version is a nod to a real historical event where Nero literally married a freed slave named Pythagoras. According to the Roman historian Tacitus, Nero actually took on the role of the bride in this marriage, meaning he was the one being wed in a public ceremony that followed all the traditional Roman wedding customs. Nero even wore a bridal veil, had witnesses, presented a dowry, and laid on a wedding couch. The full package. Yeah, this was a wild historical moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if the writers slipped it in as a reference to add a little extra hype. Next, the mysterious X altar in her idol form. This version of Artoria just happens to love singing, which, let's be real, kinda came out of nowhere, at least for me. If the devs just wanted an idol servant, why pick Artoria? Sure, there's lore behind it in the event, and let's be honest, most of us probably have at least one copy of her by now. But maybe, just maybe, the devs were slipping in a hidden detail about King Arthur that most people don't know. Arthur actually had a secret wish to sing. Now maybe this is just me overthinking it, or maybe the devs did it on purpose. But back in 1930, a guy named Waldemar Young wrote a play called Birds of Rhiannon, and at the end of it, Sir Dagonet discovers that King Arthur's secret dream was to sing. You can actually look up the play online. I'll even drop a link in the description if you want to check it out. So in a way, Maybe the devs made this Artoria an idol as a nod to this hidden wish. And what makes it even sweeter is in a Fujimaru spin-off, all the Artorias end up gathering and singing together as a group after they hear X-Alter humming. Maybe at that moment, the Artorias felt something stir inside them, a long-buried dream resurfacing as she watched one of her variants doing what she secretly always wanted to do. And I gotta be honest, that moment was phenomenal. Seeing all the Artorias singing together was already amazing, even before knowing about Arthur's secret wish. But now that I know, I just want all of them to keep singing from time to time. Speaking of Artorias, we can't forget about Mordred. Now, Mordred Rider has a surfboard called Prydwen, but what exactly is Prydwen in Arthurian lore? Well, no one really knows for sure. Some stories describe Prydwen as a boat or ship, while others say it was actually a shield. Since these two things are so wildly different, the devs probably decided to mix both ideas together. So they designed Prydwen as something that can float on water like a boat, but also be used as a weapon and a shield. And of course, they made it a surfboard, because it fits Mordred's personality perfectly. She's rough and chaotic, and let's be real, if you give someone like her a surfboard, it's gonna end up being both a weapon and a ride. Let's talk about another female servant in a swimsuit. Why is Jeanne associated with dolphins of all things? Honestly, out of all the weird aspects of summer servants, Jeanne bringing a dolphin with her is one of the strangest. I actually talked about Summer Jeanne in one of my Archer videos a while back, and someone mentioned that there might be a historical reason for it. They said that part of her summer lore in real life was that her body was thrown into the water after her death. Well, me being me, I couldn't just let that slide because, honestly, I'd never even thought about why Jeanne had a dolphin. So, I did some digging and found something even more interesting. In real life, Jeanne helped Charles VII, the future King of France, claim his title. He was known as the Dauphin of France, a title given to the heir to the throne after his 4 older brothers passed away. Jeanne personally escorted him, which eventually led to his coronation in Reims. Now here's the fun part. Dauphin doesn't just mean heir apparent in French, it also means dolphin. So maybe the dolphin that follows Jeanne around in the summer event is a nod to the real-life Dauphin she once protected, symbolizing her role in making him king. Oh, and also, her whole obsession with being a cool big sis might actually come from history too. The real Jeanne was the youngest of 5 siblings, with 3 older brothers and an older sister. So if you find her obsessive behavior about wanting a little brother or sister, I guess it's because she might have wanted to know what it feels like to have younger siblings. Dang it. I'm actually having fun making this video. Let's get back to talking about Santas after that earlier one. This time it's Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is one of those servants whose design I really can't stand. Like seriously, I get that she's supposed to be cheerful, mixing samba with Santa vibes, but her design is just a huge no for me. Don't get me wrong, I still love Quetz as a character, it's just the design that rubs me the wrong way. Now, here's something cool about Santa Quetz. Why Quetzalcoatl, of all people, as Santa? In the story, it's explained that the previous Santa passed the baton to Quetz because Altera believed she had what it takes to be Santa. But for players, it feels kind of random. I mean, past Santas were usually tied to the main or final enemies of the previous singularity, so this choice stands out. But here's the thing, there's a wild historical event that might explain it. On December 23, 1930, Mexico City held a Christmas celebration like no other. Instead of Santa Claus, the star of the holiday was Quetzalcoatl. The idea came from President Pascual Ortiz Rubio, who wanted to push Mexican traditions instead of foreign customs like Santa Claus, which had only recently started becoming popular and had no connection to Mexican culture. To make it happen, they turned the National Stadium into a massive stage. Right in the middle was a huge Aztec-style temple dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, surrounded by colorful Christmas trees, lights, and even military bands. About 15,000 people showed up, poor kids, VIPs, and diplomats alike. For those of you who want to dive deeper, I've dropped the article link in the description. It's got all the details, the purpose behind it, and everything else. The point is, this one massive Christmas moment was so big and memorable. So, did the developers take inspiration from this historical event when making Quetzalcoatl a Santa? Honestly, I have no idea, but it's an interesting connection either way. For now, that's it. Click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.